Welcome again to Cooper's Cogitations. We have another episode and are continuing with the ninth commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I will go and continue with Rushdoony and the Institutes of Biblical Law. The word neighbor is in Hebrew, re or rak, meaning to feed or nourish. And rak also appears in scripture as the verb to feed. The neighbor, whether close friend, relative, an enemy, or fellow creature, is one of whom we are thus to nourish, even as he has a duty to nourish us. We're in this together and we're supposed to help each other. We nourish one another, our good neighbors, feeders one of another, when we establish and further a law order which feeds and strengthens our common life. When we bear true witness, we feed one another the truth. True witness is by no means to be confused with flattery or the concealing of evil. It involves working together to further godly law order. Slander destroys that mutual feeling. It breaks the bonds of community life, and is a murder and theft directed both against individuals and against the society, the community. The word neighbor also gives us an insight into the nature of biblical welfare. To be neighbors one to another means to establish a society which feeds and nourishes its members by means of godly law order, and which ministers to its members' needs in terms of that law. Here, in deference to Ginsburg, we can acknowledge a connection between the law and the preceding one, which is in Leviticus 19, 9 to 10. The laws of gleaning do require us to help our neighbor feed himself. Biblical welfare does not mean a class of people receiving monetary grants without work, living parasitically off other men's labors. That's, of course, theft. Back to Rushdoony. As previously noted, the laws of gleaning do require hard work on the part of the recipient. Moreover, the word neighbor applies to every man, rich and poor alike. Not only the poor are to be fed in a neighborly society, but the rich and poor are to nourish one another by working together to establish a godly social order in which all good men can flourish. I like this idea. This is good. It tastes good. Jesus says in Matthew, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, take then one or more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established. But if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it to the church. But if you neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man, as a publication. If you offend me, trespass against me, I will go to you and we will talk about it. I don't go to my neighbor, to my bishop, to my state president and tell them. I go to you. Now, in the past 30 years, I can think of only two people that have come to me and says, Cooper, you're messing up, you're wrong. And we've discussed it. The other 20 or 25, however many they are, go to my bishop, my old quorum president, my stake president, and talk to them about it. And these ecclesiastical leaders, instead of saying and following the law and say, go back and talk to Cooper, they make them accept their remonstrance and then go after me. And I asked them, hey, why don't you follow the law? And they say, well, they're too gentle, they're shy, but it's okay for them to complain to you and skip the doctrine of talking with me. To me, this is slander. Okay? Leviticus 19:16, which we referred earlier. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among the people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. 17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Jesus says the same thing in different words. If someone offends you, go to him first. Work it out. Going back to Rushdoony. Slander is a form of murder. It seeks to destroy the reputation and integrity of a man by insinuating falsehoods. Cooper. Sometimes these, quote, falsehoods are truth with which the dissenter, the person offended, disagrees. They disagree with the truth. They don't evaluate the truth. They don't talk to you to find the references to the truth. They just go whine and snivel. One of these two people who came to me, I gave them references, 8-10 books to read. I gave them quotes. I gave them references. They can find out for themselves. They're big people. I trust them to find out for themselves if they want. Moreover, slander, because it passes from mouth to mouth quickly, involves far more people in a very short time than does idolatry, incest, or murder. Verse 17 of Leviticus, and with Rushdoony, the proper course of action is described. If a brother or neighbor is actually guilty of wrongdoing, we must go to him and seek to dissuade him from his evil course. It's our job. They're my brother. Otherwise, we suffer sin upon him, and so thou bear not sin on his account. In other words, we become an accomplice with our silence. That applies to government officials as well. Tell them the truth, let them sort it out. Believing lies and falsehoods is an escape from reality and an enter into fiction fantasy. When they infest society, government, industry, business, entertainment, this fantasy becomes institutionalized and is across society, deeply found in the media and in the press. Rushdoony, but freedom too is related to reality rather than fantasy. Thus, to escape from reality is also to escape from freedom. Whenever men, institutions, society forsake God, they forsake reality. We're going to kick the Bible out of the school. And what has happened in the last 80 years, folks? Rushdoony, they cease to bear true responsible witness and begin to live a lie, because in the world of the lie, they can play God. They will make up their own truth. Truth is your truth or my truth. Whose truth is it? We make up our own truth. We have our own God. We are God. Continuing. Our elected, appointed, hired, and some hired officials take an oath before God to sustain and defend the Constitution. The Constitution is based on the laws of nature, and nature's God, the Bible. They bear false witness when they have no intention of sustaining and defending the Constitution. This becomes institutionalized and usually accompanies, thou shalt not steal. Rushdoony, the law is law for everyone. If the citizen has no moral right to steal, neither does the state. If the citizen cannot expropriate his neighbor's property, neither can the state. Thou shalt not steal applies to corporations, governments, men equally. It forbids socialism, communism, inflation, bad checks, every other form of theft. It forbids false advertising, false processing, adulteration of foods. It forbids feather bedding by workers' association. It forbids the cheating of workers, All men and their institutions, corporations, forms of government are equally under the law of God. The reduction of the 10 Commandments to the status of a moral code only is the destruction of the law. Let me finish with James Madison. Oh, before I get to James Madison, Nibers observed, what gold is to money, the law of God is to liberty. Maxim said of God's law, we stake the whole future of American civilization not upon the power of government, far from it. We stake the future of all our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government, upon the capacity of each of us to govern ourselves, control ourselves, to sustain ourselves according to the 10 Commandments of God. Folks, I shall not bear false witness. Thank you.